Hello and welcome to this webinar entitled Contract Drafting Essentials, the Key Provisions with me, Keith Markham. As always, let's begin by having a look at the agenda. So we're going to talk about three main issues during the course of this 1 hour session. We're going to look at price and payment clauses, we're going to look at warranties, and we're going to look at indemnities. And obviously we'll discuss each in turn. You're going to be given some clauses to review, and I'll talk a little bit about the scenario on the next slide in a moment. What I want you to do is to obviously consider areas of concern, consider the amendments that you might like to make, and I will also, on a regular basis, be suggesting kind of alternative wording that you might like to use. So the aim of this session is to make it as practical as we can. So run about a third of the session on each of those three things. And as I say, there will be some explanation, but often it will be largely focused around you reviewing clauses and thinking about what changes you would make in the light of the concerns that you may have. Now, in order to actually make this work a little better, we are creating a small scenario, if you like. So we're going to assume that you are an employee of KJM Limited. Yes, those are my initials. Lack of originality, I know, but there we are. And that you supply training services. And essentially, you have a customer called XYZ. And essentially, what happens is that there is a proposed contract between the two of you. And it's supposed to last for 3 years and be worth around about £100,000 a year. Now, the key thing to note is, obviously, you are the supplier. So throughout these clauses for the rest of this session, you will be the supplier. You have, however, received terms and conditions from the customer. So it'll be the customer's T's and C's that you'll be reviewing from the supplier's perspective, thinking about what changes a supplier would like to make and why, thinking about the sorts of wording we might use. Now, as I say, I had to have the scenario from one person's point of view. Be aware, though, that obviously we'll look at what the customer has said, what you would then go back with as the supplier, but we will also, during this session, be thinking about the sort of sensible compromises that potentially both parties can accept. And remember, of course, that when we draft, we are not looking to simply be in a scenario where we win and they lose. Instead, we want to come up with something that works as far as possible for both parties.